Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shashank Ranjan, and I welcome you all to the daily The Hindu newspaper discussion. This is Chennai edition, 9th of February newspaper, and the discussion is brought to you by National Defense Institute. NDI is a leading defense preparation institute of India that prepares you for all India Sainik School entrance examination, NDA, CDS, CAPF, Afcat, till the SSB, where we believe in holding your hand till you get those stars on your shoulders and emblem on your hat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin the discussion for the day. The first news article that's important from exams perspective is Haryana Cabinet nods for anti-conversion bill. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this complete news article also contains few things which are not very important. For example, the hidden agenda. This is not important from us exam perspective. So let's not focus on the political controversies, but let us understand the constitutional provisions. Now, the Haryana cabinet nods for the anti-conversion bill. Now, the basically what is the legal code? A brief timeline for the development leading to drafting of the new bill. 1st November 2020, Chief Minister Manohar Lal said that the state government was uh, taking the love jihad issue seriously. Then the Haryana House Anil Ved says the strict law will be enacted to control love jihad cases in the state, and a committee will be constituted to draft this law. The government set up three-member committees to draft an anti-conversion law, and Haryana cabinet approves the draft of Haryana Prevention of Unlawful Conversion of Religion Bill 2022. The bill is to be tabled during the assembly session that will begin on March 2. Uh, Manohar Lal Khattar said there is no bar on anyone who marries without converting. But if someone forcefully converts someone for the greed of money, then action will be taken against them. Okay, so basically, the Haryana cabinet is going to draft a bill for unlawful conversion of religion. Now, what is the constitutional provision under this? Now, there would be basically yeah. So first of all, this bill would contain two things. Number one is that anyone who is 18-year plus and a girl is getting married, then in that case, if uh, before the marriage, if after the marriage there was no conversion, then this is okay because constitution allows, and the state government promotes interreligious marriages. But if there is a forced conversion, means like if somebody wants to convert on their own will, then that's fine. But if there is a forced conversion, if such case comes, then there would be a different act under which the culprit will be penalized. So that's the thing. And anyone who is less than 18 years of age, that is a minor, then in that case the forced conversion will contain more stringent laws. Now, what is the constitutional provision for this? So according to a constitution of India, the constitution confers on each individual the fundamental right to profess, practice and propagate his religion. However, the individual right to freedom of conscience and religion cannot be extended to construe a collective right to proselytize, for the right of religious freedom belongs equally to the person converting and the individual sought to be converted. Okay, so therefore it is not the constitution confers the individual the fundamental right to profess, practice and propagate his religion. That's fine, but then there's a condition that if they every individual has a right to freedom of conscience also, right? So this the religion cannot be extended to constitute a collective right to proselytize, for the right of religious freedom that belongs equally to the person. Okay, so that's the main thing. So there are two things. There should not be forceful conversion. So that's the basic thing which is behind it. So fine. So for example, if there's any question that comes in your examination, especially for argument writing, if there is, because we saw that UP government had brought this. law in their own state, and now Haryana government has come up with this law. So if suppose there is a for and against kind of argument writing question, then you will have some point where you could quote from the constitutional provision on how something is right and what's wrong. So you must know about the government's mentality behind bringing such laws. Fine. The next important news on this page number is post on Kashmir unacceptable. This is what the center has said. Now we know that Pakistan always celebrates Kashmir Solidarity Day, and while in the celebration there were many multinational companies that were working in Pakistan that had posted like for the freedom of Kashmir, the we stand with the solidarity of Kashmir and all these kind of things. So terming as unacceptable the social media post calling for Kashmir freedom by various multinational company based in Pakistan, the government on Tuesday went to diplomatic override. While the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to South Korean counterpart Chung Young to protest against the post out by Hyundai Motor Company. So you must know, you should have known by this time that Hyundai Motor Company had posted online the Hyundai Motor Pakistan had posted like we stand with the solidarity and we respect the sacrifice of the Kashmiri uh, youth for their their freedom struggle. So for this these kind of posts, which there was a lot of dislikes in India about it, and the government has raised its concern that this is not right because Kashmir is an alienable and integrated part of India, and therefore any such comment is unacceptable. Whereas we saw that how much was the share market that got impacted, the fall of stock values of Hyundai Motor took place, and many cars that were Hyundai Motors that was selling was actually went that many people who had booked Hyundai cars started to change it to Tata. So a lot of things were trending in that. So the Ministry of External Affairs conveyed number of other countries whose posts were found offensive. Okay, and what are those countries like South Korean companies like Hyundai, Kia, okay, and American MNCs like KFC, Pizza Hut, Japanese company like Osaka Batteries, Atlas, Honda, and Isuzu, as well as German pharmaceutical company Swabe had carried posts expressing solidarity with Kashmiri brothers and sisters and praying for liberation on Feb 5th. That is marked as Kashmir Solidarity Day in Pakistan. So this is the news. So anyhow, the Indian demography is very powerful. We have 1.3 billion people, a big market. By 2045. India is going to be the biggest market in the world. The whole world is looking forward towards India. India has that power in itself. 1.3 billion people, young people. This is and when the purchasing power of these people are increasing, everyone can sell everything here, so anything can get consumed within India. Therefore any such comment where the whole world is dependent upon Indian on India, such comments would be very detrimental and deleterious to any company or any agency that speaks anything that's against India. All right, so let's move to the next news article that's important here is Congress is in grip of urban Naxal, says PM. Okay, so here we don't need to study anything. Important thing that I wanted to bring in your notice is this term called urban Naxals. Now, since the word has been used by PM Modi himself, so it becomes important to understand about this term, urban Naxal, so that this term if comes in your examination you have an understanding like what it means. So urban Naxals are basically the intellectuals, the intellect, the big power holders, or the people who are at good places, the elites and educated in the society, if their mentality is more inclined towards the way how communist thinks, or the how the Maoist ideology, if they start following it and they do not believe in democracy, then such people are known as urban naxals. So urban naxals are very dangerous for our society because they try to disturb the very fabric of democracy that's present in our country. They try to to bring disharmony in the social harmony that's present in our society. So those are the urban naxals, and there are a lot of crackdowns that's going on by the police for these urban naxals, because they are the people who give an impetus. They are the people who work as a source, and they spread this idea. They are the nucleus of this idea, and then they spread it to the villages and other area where the villagers and the poor people, they take up arm directly, work as Naxalites, but the ideas come from the urban Naxals. Okay, so that's the urban Naxals. Fine. Let's move to the next news article. So the next is violence in Karnataka colleges as dress code row intensifies. So this is a news in transition. Government declares 3 days holiday. We know that what's going on in Karnataka, where anti-hijab kind of protest is going on, uh, and the students, the Hindu students, they have started to wear their own religious attires, and they have also started coming to the college, saying that if there must be a common uniform, if not, then everyone must be allowed to use their own dress codes. So that's what is going on. We'll see. This is a news in transition, because this is a very difficult case to understand the religious versus the uniform. It is important even from the military perspective, because we have seen that in India we have a common dress code, whether it is Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, doesn't mean anything. It's like basically each and every religion is treated equally in the armed forces of India. There is even a Sarv Dharm Sthal in in the Indian Army campus. If you visit, there would not be a different temple or gurudwara. There would be a Sarv Dharm Sthal in the Army campus. In the Air Force campus, you have different religious places, and you will find, but all these places will be together in one place. But in army campus, uh, almost everywhere you will find Sarvdharmasthal, where there will be one building. In that building, there will be all religions that will be following their religious practices. So now, when all religion, caste, creed, everything is equal in the armed forces, and this idea of dress, which is being challenged right now in Supreme Court, can also extend to the armed forces of India. Now it is important that what kind of decision the courts take on the issue that has been filed already for this, because this is a very difficult decision. It would be a difficult decision for them to decide. Let's see. This is a news in transition, like of what comes in for this. Fine. Let's now move to the next page, that is page number 14. Okay. So on page number 14, we have the important news here. That is, the ministry renews FCRA nod for PHFI. Now here, the important new term is FCRA. So you should know that FCRA is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Okay, now this act provides the uh, regulates, basically you can say that regulates the funding from the foreign countries. Okay, and the FCRA Act had come because and its regulation keeps on coming. The reason is that there are many NGOs in India that gets these foreign funding, and then they start working against India using that fund. For example, I'll tell you that recently there was a news, there was a highway in Uttarakhand that was to be built near the borders. Now that the highway was to be made widened, so it had to be made widened so that uh, a bigger tanks and artillery movement could take place easily, and the troops could move very easily through that broad road. So that had to be brought in. Now for that, uh, an NGO started protesting against the construction, and the construction started to get delayed. Okay, and why was the construction stopped? It was because the NGO was an environmentalist NGO, and was saying that it will disturb the environmental ecology. So now it is important to decide at that point of time whether it should be defense or environment. If there would be no India, then what will you do with the environment of India? Right. So it is important. The first priority had to be given to defense. And if there is some little disturbance, it's okay. Because for every coin has two sides, right? Now we need to accept both the sides when we are accepting the whole coin. So basically, Supreme Court there said in its order that if we consider defense versus the environment, we would give preference to defense, and therefore widening of the road is something that's important. Now we know that in China, where there is rule of Communist Party, now there is no protest, no such protest takes place. Okay, and the thing is that any project which government wants to come up with, they quickly do it. But in India, we have democracy, things go transparent. There are these NGOs that work, they get funded from China and other countries to work against India. All right, and therefore this FCRA Act came into place. You can read this article, it's important, and read more about FCRA if you want to research on it. Uh, okay, fine. Let's move to the next news, which is important on this page number. That is, okay, fine. I don't think there is any important news on this page number. Now let's move to page number 16. Fine. On page number 16, we have one important news here. That is the panel questions budget quota for Manrega. Now, during the first wave of COVID-19, Manrega was a very important scheme, because when the migrant labor started to go back to their state, then they had nothing to spend their livelihood, and then the Manrega became a godly act, I would say, that gave a livelihood to the people. 100 days of employment guarantee scheme, which helped them to get employment. And basically this the budget allocation has been lowered down by 25%, which is not right. So this is what uh, the panel questions. So that there are a lot of parliamentary committee that sits and discusses for the budget. Now that those discussions would be going on in various standing committees, and so there was one panel that asked this question, that why has it been lowered down to 25%? This is a very important, uh, it's very important, right? So that's a thing here in this news article. Fine. Now let's move to the next news article. That's important, which is on page number 17. Foreign. Fine. Here, the first news is Macron sees power to ease Russia crisis. We know that Macron is on his visit he was on his visit to Russia uh, day before yesterday, and he spoke with Vladimir Putin, and n- he after speaking, he was to go to Ukraine, so that he could ease the tension between the two countries. Now, Macron says that Putin told him that Russia would not be the source of an escalation. So basically, Macron sees a path where the de-escalation could take place between Putin and between Russia and Ukraine. So most probably, let's see, this is again a news in transition, so his visit is going on. uh, and definitely he said that we cannot resolve this crisis in a few hour talk. It will be the day and a week and the months to come that will allow us to progress. So fine, there are talks going on. We'll see what happens. So this is something interesting that's going on right now from the international perspective. So well, for today, this was an update that he's in Russia, then he'll go to Ukraine after this. Next important news here is EU joins chip race worth 43 billion bid to rival Asia. Now, the Asian market is growing for the chip making and semiconductor. Right, we have Taiwan, China, India, all these countries, South Korea. Now, the manufacturing semiconductor overwhelmingly takes place in Taiwan, China, and South Korea. The European Union wants these factories and company inside the bloc to take a bigger role. Okay, so EU on Tuesday unveiled a plan to quadruple the supply of semiconductor in Europe by 2030, hoping to limit the bloc's dependence on Asia for key component which is used in the electric cars and smartphones. So this is the thing. Now for that, a chip act is going to be coming, and the highly anticipated EU Chip Act will mobilize more than 43 billion euros, that is $49.1 billion of public and private investments, and enable EU to reach its ambition to double its current market share to 20% in 2030. Okay, so that's the thing. So EU is looking forward for its investment in their own side, so that the chip manufacturing could take place more in the European Union countries. So uh, that's important here to understand. Fine. The next important news is not on this page number. Now let's move to the next page, that is the business page. Now on the business page, there is one question, one article that's important is India's debt to GDP better than USA. The officials reported. Now the now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, what is debt to GDP ratio? This is important for you to understand. Now, debt to GDP ratio is basically how much debt have you taken with respect to your GDP? That's debt to GDP ratio. Now, this year, the debt to GDP ratio is high, owing to the fact that we had the pandemic in the previous year, and a lot of government investments went in to keep the prices of everything regulated, to keep inflation in control. And from this perspective, the debt to GDP ratio was had increased in India. Now, the thing is that in this debt to GDP ratio, the government answered that USA has a bigger debt to GDP ratio compared to India. So India still has less. If you think that USA is such a big country, such a huge economy, and they do not take debt, it's not like that. Even they take debt. There are internal debt, there are external debt. Definitely, there are more internal debt than the external debt. Even India does not take a lot of external debt. Mostly India's debt comes from the bonds that the government of India issues. Okay, so remember this. Now, debt to GDP ratio becoming large is not bad if it's going to if it is being invested in the capital side. If we are taking, if suppose debt is taken by the government and it is spent on the revenue side, then that's bad. And we have seen that there has been increase in the capex this year. So the capital expenditure has increased in the budget this year, and therefore having a bigger debt to GDP ratio is okay, because the return from this is going to be good. So that's important here. Fine, ladies and gentlemen. So you can read this article to have a little more understanding about the India-US comparison, so that you'll have few points while you'll go for the group discussion in your SSB. So from that perspective, this article becomes important. So these were some important news article today in the whole newspaper. So if you have any doubts or queries, you can comment it in the comment box below. You can also give us a call on our contact number given on our website www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in. So we'll meet tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Till then, take good care of yourself. Have a nice day, all of you. Thank you.